What's up, guys? My name's Dean, or as most of you know me, Twisty, and today we're continuing our footy discussion. And this week, the biggest game of the round is the showdown. Of course, it is first versus second on the AFL ladder as it stands after 2 rounds. And there is 8 teams sitting on 8 wins and... or not 8 wins. There's 8 teams sitting on 2 wins and no losses, and there is 8 teams without a win at the moment. The Giants and the Lions, the 2 sides in the middle there, with 1 win and 1 loss apiece. So, what is sort of going on at the start of this season, and you know, what can we expect? I think normally 0 and 2 means that you don't play in the finals. And it certainly doesn't mean it means you don't really win a flag either. So, Sydney is finding themselves in an 0 and 2 position. Hawthorn is also in that position. Do I think either of those sides will win the flag? No. I think it'll be between the Dogs and the Giants, really. I think they're my 2 front runners at this stage. But if GWS don't bring it every week, I mean, they played the Gold Coast who are in all sorts of trouble at the moment, and they absolutely flogged them. But, you know, there's still room for improvement with the Giants. They've got this, you know, fantastic list, but whether their, I'm gonna say a big word here, ego of we are expected to win is gonna get in the way of them actually delivering a flag, or whether they do have, you know, the hunger enough to, you know, bring it on the big stage. And I think that's something that a lot of players deal with at times. And let's just quickly go through where everyone's at this stage. So we've got Port Adelaide and Adelaide obviously playing in the showdown this week. Big game, big game. Port Adelaide are seemingly back to where they were. Maybe not in 2014, but they'll be hoping that they get back to that stage where they push for a prelim from outside the top 4 or a kick away from the grand final, only losing that prelim to the Hawthorn by 3 points in the end that year. So they're playing against Adelaide, and if Port Adelaide are back, they will win this game because they are a momentum side. Once they get the ball rolling, they continue to play well. Riders finally getting a chance at Port Adelaide, and we're seeing how good of a thing, or like how good of a trade that was a couple of years ago. And so they'll be pretty happy to have him on the park. And where's Matty Lobe? Where's he? All right, anyway, let's keep going because otherwise I'll just be fascinated on this forever. Adelaide, really good start, beaten 2 finalists from last year in both the Giants and the Hawks. Big game for them as well against Port this week. Can they continue their momentum? Richmond, couple of wins to start the season. Play big opposition in the Eagles this week. And that's probably going to be their proving grounds after beating, you know, Carlton, who were pretty good against Melbourne last week, but they're not expected to be a top-class side, and Collingwood, who's also sort of a middle-of-the-table roundabout same position as Richmond. Melbourne, 2 really solid wins to start the year. Probably would have liked to do a little more comfortably against Melbourne, and just got Lewis suspended for 3 weeks and Hogan for the next 2. So they play Geelong this week, and I expect the Cats to give Melbourne a bit of a reality check as to where they are. West Coast started well, probably didn't deserve to win over the weekend against the Saints, but got the chocolates in the end, and that's what a good side does. They play the Tigers at the MCG this weekend, another battle of undefeated teams. Essendon could start the season 3-0. They play the Blues this week, and it's a side who's normally troubling them, but I think in the form that they are in, they will notch up this victory as well. The Cats, as I said, are playing Melbourne. They probably a side who was beaten for 3 quarters and then went on to win, as a good side does, knocking off North Melbourne by just the point. Or as Sandy Roberts would say, a solitary point. He always says that. It always annoys me a little bit. But anyway, the Giants and the Lions are 1 win apiece. Brisbane have started much better than I think anyone anticipated. And I think the Giants are just getting started. They only played the Gold Coast Suns last week, so that's their only win. And they play North Melbourne this week. So North Pretty good effort last week against Geelong. If they bring that intensity again this week against the Giants, we might see where the Giants are at. Like, if they should get a nice, comfortable, I'm thinking, 6-goal win, but you never know what goes on these days. Then you got Collingwood, North Melbourne, both 0-2 at this stage. I think Collingwood probably are in for a bit more of a tougher time, but they've been pretty good the first couple of weeks. Probably beaten the sides that they played for majority of the matches, for majority of the match. Probably beat Richmond for the first 2.5 quarters. Faded late. And the same thing the week before against the Bulldogs. Probably beat the Bulldogs for maybe the first 3 quarters and then faded late. So if they can put together a 4-quarter performance, they're playing the Swans this week, who are also somewhat struggling, although they've played much tougher opposition. It'll be interesting to see. Then you got St Kilda, tough loss against the Eagles this week. They play the Lions in... you would hope that they would win that game just for their sanity at the moment, St Kilda. The Hawks play the Gold Coast Suns this week. This is an interesting one because I think Hawthorn will win it, just given the fact that the Gold Coast are falling apart at the seams. But will they respond? They had a horrendous game last week. They need to respond, so show something. Then you got, who else? I'm just finishing off here the last couple of teams. Carlton, the Gold Coast, and Fremantle. Carlton were actually pretty good. I was pretty impressed with how they went. The Swans, I think they'll beat the Pies at home. But Gold Coast and Fremantle, the two sides in the most disarray at the moment. No idea what's going on with those clubs or how they're going to get out of the holes that they are in. Fremantle's probably worse off, I'm just going to say, because I think their list isn't as good as the Suns. The Suns have good players. They just need to, actually show effort, I think, is what they need to do. That's probably what they haven't been doing lately. But anyway, again, another big round of footy this week. We're going to see a few teams knocked off the undefeated side of things. And I'll be at the footy on Saturday afternoon, Richmond, West Coast. Feel free to say hi if you see me. But yes, big round of footy. Hope your team wins. Unless it's, I don't know. Whatever. Just have a good weekend. And I'll see you guys later.